Hello, welcome to Sacerdotus Hangouts. Happy belated Thanksgiving to everyone. I hope everyone had a great time with their family or loved ones, or whoever it is that you sit down and enjoy turkey or whatever it is that you're cooking. On today's program, I'm going to um, I don't have pretty much a set topic, but I'm going to talk on different things. And first, I'm going to begin with the Ferguson situation and the decision that was made on Monday. Now, I don't even know where to begin. There's so much information. Well, let me give a summary of it. Basically, back in August, an 18-year-old black male was shot and killed by a Caucasian officer at Ferguson, Missouri. And the whole thing has been controversial, uh, well, namely because of the way it happened, uh, not to mention the racial implications of it, the white on black violence or white cop on black male violence or whatnot, which seems to be a thing in the United States for some reason. Um, so basically, the whole situation started when Michael Brown was approached by the officer Darren Wilson, and there was a scuffle that happened, and this is where it gets confusing because there were so many different accounts given of the situation. Some people say the cop was the one that started the trouble. Others said that it was Michael Brown and his friend who started trouble, and so there's a lot of different versions of the story. But the most common version is that Michael Brown um, was running away, and Darren Wilson shot at him, and then he turned around and he put his hands up like in a surrendering position, and he was still shot and killed. So that was the prevailing story at the time, and but what happened later on was even more confusing because the cops in Ferguson, the police department in Ferguson, didn't want to release the officer's name, Darrell Wilson. We found out about a week later who the cop was. So the people were complaining about that. Why wasn't his name released and whatnot? Then there was all these rumors that the cop had a broken eye socket bone and has severe bruising and whatnot. But again, nothing was demonstrated. No photos, no videos, nothing at all. No report from the hospital, nothing at all showing that this in fact happened. Which, if it did happen, would have probably prevented the riots that took place in the days into the shooting. People started breaking windows and looting at the stores and whatnot shortly after the shooting of Michael Brown. But since nothing was released, then everybody just based their opinions on these so-called witnesses who gave their own different accounts of it, which is another problem because a lot of them were conflicting witness accounts. You know, one person said he had his hands up, and the person said he didn't have his hands up. I'm referring to Michael Brown, so it was confusing. Then, what made it worse, I believe, was when the police department in Ferguson released a security video of Michael Brown and his friend apparently stealing cigarettes or cigarillos or whatever they call it from a mart somewhere, a supermarket or a store, convenience store. And they pretty much, in the video, that shows him grabbing something from behind the counter and walking away. And then the store clerk comes to him and he tries to stop Michael Brown. And Michael Brown pretty much manhandles him. He's way taller than the guy. So people were upset over this video because it almost made it seem like it was released to give the impression that Michael Brown was a criminal. So Darren Wilson came along as the hero and killed him. So people were upset about that at the timing of the release of the video. Because again, nothing was released from Darren Wilson. I mean, they took forever to release his name, and no video footage or hospital reports detailing his injuries were released. And I think that would have made a big difference because if it was true that Michael Brown was the aggressor and therefore Darren Wilson had to put him down, kill him, then this would have been proven by showing the evidence that Darren Wilson was um, manhandled himself or beaten up or whatnot and had a broken eye socket as the claims were going around. But none of this was presented. Instead, we saw a video of Michael Brown manhandling this store clerk. So it went down from there. People started protesting and protesting almost every night. It got rowdy. The police came in these big armored trucks and gassed everybody, including the members of the CNN news network. So people were complaining about that as well, claiming that the police was too aggressive and they only do this with minority communities and whatnot. And the scenes almost looked like when Egyptians were protesting a couple years ago. It was just strange to see all the violence and everything and the way the police was handling things. In America, it was just strange looking at those videos. And then the prosecutor of the area, McCullough, wanted to take the case, and the people didn't want him to take the case because they felt that he would be biased. Because first of all, the police go to him whenever they have to make a case. When they provide him the evidence against any suspect, so he already has that relationship with the police. So they felt he wasn't going to be fair in that regard. And also because his father was a police officer who was killed by an African American. So people felt that he wasn't going to be fair because of that either. That maybe he was going to set Darren Wilson free or not indict him or do a good job in presenting the case against Darren Wilson in order to somehow have some kind of vendetta paid off in regards to his father being killed by an African American. So, excuse me. Eventually, Michael Brown was put to rest. So he was laid to rest, and the protests continue. And everybody was pretty much waiting for the grand jury to see the evidence and come out with a decision whether or not to indict Officer Darren Wilson. Now, during this process, different forensic scientists, Dr. Michael, I forgot his last name, was a well-known forensics scientist. He came up with his own conclusions, stating that Michael Brown was shot 6 times and pretty much almost confirming the story as it happened with as the witnesses claimed happened, that he had his hands up and whatnot. So everybody was pretty much happy, saying, "Okay, we were going to win this. The Darren Wilson is going to get indicted." But nevertheless, they were still worried because again, the prosecutor they didn't trust him that he will be fair and whatnot. Well, the day of judgment came last week and into this week. Everybody got news that a decision will be made by the grand jury last Friday, November 21st, but nothing happened. Then it was believed that it would do it on Saturday, the 22nd, and on Sunday, nothing happened. But then on Monday, the news came out around 11 in the morning, Easter time, which is probably around 10 in the morning in Missouri, stating that a decision was made regarding the indictment of Officer Darren Wilson. But this is what happened, which is strange. The prosecutor, he pretty much made himself into a judge, taking on a role that was pretty strange for a prosecutor. He was deciding when to release the decision, which would be late at night, 9 o'clock at night. And he also was going to release the evidence, which normally a judge has to give the okay for all of that. But this prosecutor seemed to, I don't know, have all this authority. So then, the reason why I say the decision was strange to release the information at night was because they knew since August what happens at night. People congregated, they got wild, the police got wild, things went out of control. So why wait until late at night when all the teenagers got out of school and they love to get rowdy and whatnot, and it's an emotional event, and this, things could go wrong, as was shown during the summer. So it was almost like if it was a setup. They wanted this to happen. And what I'm referring to is the riots that happened after the decision. Well, anyhow, the time came, Prosecutor McCullough came and started reading the decision, and he just went through a whole list of things that was wrong and why the case wasn't strong. And basically, he stated that the witness accounts were not were contradictory. They weren't um, reliable, and the way he was wording the whole statement, it was almost like as if he was the lawyer for Darren Wilson instead of the one putting the case against Darren Wilson. So as he was, reading the statement, everybody was like, "What? What is he saying?" I mean, he was everything he presented in the case was favoring Darren Wilson as a cop using self-defense. That was pretty much what his defense was for Michael Brown, was presenting the case that Darren Wilson was in the right. He had the right to use his arm and defend himself. He's a police officer. So pretty much the decision was that the grand jury did not push for the indictment of Darren Wilson. So of course everybody was upset. Thousands gathered outside the court in St. Louis. Many more in Ferguson gathered, and rather Michael Brown's mother obviously broke down in tears, crying. Everybody was upset, and then all hell broke loose. People started throwing rocks, bottles at the police there and whatnot. And another thing is that in the days leading to the indictment, the governor there, Governor Nixon, called up the National Guard because I guess he knew oil was going to break loose, but only 700 of them were deployed on that day. And when the people got rowdy and started throwing bottles at the police, and they even flipped the police car over and set it on fire, and they just went crazy. Then they started breaking into stores, stealing, looting, and set the stores on fire. The National Guard was not there, and the police was just standing idle, once in a while shooting cans of tear gas into the crowd, including the hitting the media. Don Lemon from CNN, Chris Cuomo, and these people from the CNN network. So it was chaotic once again, like in August, but this time it was worse. It almost looked like a war scene. All these different stores and buildings and restaurants set ablaze. Then later on, cars were set ablaze from a car dealership, and the people just went crazy. It was just unbelievable seeing the images on TV that this was happening in the United States. Then, of course, the protests started reaching Twitter and whatnot. People started creating their own hashtags, and then it went all over the world. And people started gathering in other cities and doing similar things. They didn't go to the extent that they did in Ferguson as in regards to burning stores and looting, but they were marching in the streets, stopping traffic and whatnot. And one young guy in New York threw red paint at Commissioner Bratton. So he's facing a lot of serious charges now. And of course, Commissioner Bratton didn't look too happy about that, walking around with his face full of red paint. So since Monday, it has been protest after protest. People have been protesting. It calmed down a bit on Wednesday when a snowstorm came by. but then it started up again on Thursday for Thanksgiving. People started marching there, and they tried to disrupt the Macy's parade in New York City. And luckily, they were stopped because it would have been chaotic if anybody went to the parade and disrupted the whole atmosphere, especially children that come to see the balloons and whatnot. And so there was a trending topic, "Stop the Parade." That was trending for a long time. And on Friday, for Black Friday, they tried to disrupt the shopping of people going out there looking for deals. They forced many stores to close and whatnot. Uh, Not just in America, but globally as well. In the United Kingdom, protests took hold there as well. People were upset, and they felt that justice was not served. Uh, Many people believe that Darrell Wilson needed to be indicted, that he killed an unarmed black male and whatnot. And then when the evidence was released, there was a lot of discrepancies in the report, um, such as Darrell Wilson said that Michael Brown ran towards him, but then he said he stepped forward, so there was a contradiction there. Um, the most unusual one is the size difference. Darrell Wilson claimed that Michael Brown looked like an angry demon and was overpowering him. And he said something strange. He said that he felt like a 5 year old wrestling or struggling against Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan was a famous wrestler from the WWF, which is now the WWE. But they're both pretty much the same size. Darren Wilson is about 6'4", and Michael Brown is about the same or a bit taller, an inch or two taller than him. So it's a bit odd that he would make that comparison of a 5 year old wrestling Hulk Hogan, when they're both pretty much the same size. So that was a bit odd. So that's pretty much how it's been now. Different people gathering and protesting all over the world, and they felt that the decision was wrong. The case was presented pretty much defending the actions of Officer Wilson and didn't do much to help Michael Brown. So, excuse me, I had to get some water. So basically, everything was chaotic, and it's been like that since. I'm not siding with anybody, neither Michael Brown or Darrell Wilson, but I will admit that the whole process was faulty, and I believe Michael Brown didn't get a fair chance in court, so to speak. The way the evidence was presented was extremely flawed, and Darren Wilson wasn't really cross-examined and whatnot, and the jurors didn't even bother to catch the discrepancies that were in his statement, which is another thing. He had over a month to write out his statement, his report, which was more than enough time to make the story fit the facts, so to speak, because again, he's a police officer, so he had access to the evidence that was going to be used against him. And in one instance, the report says that he put his own gun into the evidence bag, which is just absurd. I mean, this is supposed to be done by somebody else. So he took the gun, he cleaned it off, he washed his hands, and he put it into the evidence bag. So right there, you could see there was the possibility of contamination of evidence. And if that happened with a gun, imagine with anything else. So, I mean, I don't know what they're going to do now, Michael Brown's family, but definitely something needs to be looked into in regards to the prosecutor there and the way the Ferguson County and that area, including the governor, how they operate, because obviously something is wrong. They don't know the procedure there, or it was done intentionally and whatnot. And in an ironic twist, the decision was made on the day where Sean Bell, I believe another African American, when their cases were pretty much thrown out and the cops were set free. So I don't know if that was meant to be a slap in the face to Michael Brown's family or Sean Bell or African Americans or whatnot. And then when you put into the factor of the KKK, they wanted to go over there and kill people, and and apparently the church that Michael Brown's father attends was burned down, and it is believed that the KKK has something to do with that. That they burned down Michael Brown's father's church. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of racial tension. It's just sad. It feels like, even though I wasn't born in the 1960s or 50s or whatnot, but it has that feel to it. Like, I don't know, like we're in the past or something. It's just a weird feeling that this is going on. So, I mean, I'm hoping everything gets resolved over there, and both sides get their fair shot to do something to present evidence or have a do-over if it's possible or not. But it is sad that all of this is happening, and it's sad that people have to go to the streets and protest in this manner and whatnot, and it's sad that people have to be have their lives disrupted by these protests. I mean, I get the point, you're upset, whatnot. The whole thing seems fishy, the way they treat minorities. And I understand all that, but you're not gonna win supporters for your side if you annoy them or disrupt their lives. Nobody's going to support you. So you have to find a better way to protest and win the people on your side. Because stopping traffic, stopping parades, or disrupting people's shopping habits or whatever their daily lives, it's not gonna win any favor on your side. It really isn't. So you really need to think about how you present your case publicly in regards to protesting and whatnot. And in regards to Charles, I mean not Charles, Tyrone Wilson. Yeah, I hope this guy. He already did an interview with somebody from I forgot his name from ABC. And I hope he doesn't come out with a book trying to profit from this whole thing, because I mean, shouldn't profit over the death of somebody, especially a 18-year-old. I mean, I'm not saying the kid was a saint. I mean, obviously, if the video shows that he was stealing, if in fact that was the case, then that he was up to no good. But still, that doesn't mean that you have to shoot him dead. Um, there's definitely other ways to handle the situation instead of resorting to just shooting people down like animals. Now, I understand if somebody has a gun at you and is trying to kill you. Yeah, that's a different situation. But if you can visibly see that the person is not armed or not, and you know, try other methods to try to take the person down. And, but I mean, it's complicated because police officers have to shoot to kill. They have to. I mean, you don't really have much time to point your gun at their kneecap or something, or to shoot to wound, or to decide whether the person is armed or not. It's really difficult to process all that information because your adrenaline is running around your body and your heart is racing, and it's not easy. But we'll see what happens. Next is Thanksgiving. As you may know, Thanksgiving is an American holiday. I believe some other nations celebrate it as well. And this tradition is believed to originate from the Pilgrims, who were the Puritans, who lived in Massachusetts Bay Colony, and they settled in Plymouth Rock. And the natives there, the Wampanoag Indians, taught these settlers how to farm and hunt. And as deeply religious people, the Pilgrims had a meal thanking God for the many blessings in this new land because they were escaping the religious persecution in Europe. So they got together and they thanked and God with food and whatnot. So, but while this day is great, we should always give thanks to God every day for everything, both good and bad. Everything is a blessing, whether direct or hidden. The Catholic Church always gives thanks to God in the Eucharist. As a matter of fact, the Eucharist, the very word Eucharist, means thanksgiving. We offer our prayers to God, thanking Him while remembering His Son's sacrifice on the cross. Jesus Christ becomes the bread and wine at Mass, not symbolically, but literally. The Mass takes place daily throughout the earth. There's only one day that there's no Mass, and that's on Good Friday. So, way before the Pilgrims had Thanksgiving, the Catholic Church always had Thanksgiving, not without turkey and food and all that, but with the bread of life, Jesus Christ. So this day, I mean, is great and all. I mean, it's great to spend time with your family and whatnot, and thank God. But I believe it should be done every day. I mean, we should thank God every day, thank one another every day. We shouldn't be reminded once a year to thank God and one another for the things that we get. Um, this should be done on a daily basis. And this leads to the next thing, which is on Black Friday. And Black Friday is the day after Thanksgiving, where stores lower their prices to try to get customers in to buy. Now, what happens is that mobs form in these stores and all hell breaks loose. They gather early in the morning, and as soon as the store opens, everybody storms the store and they start pulling things off the rack and getting into fights. And a couple of times, people have shot each other. And in the recent couple of years, stores started opening on Thanksgiving, which is not fair because a lot of workers don't get to spend time with their family for Thanksgiving. And it's disrupting the whole idea of Thanksgiving. It's supposed to be a day where everybody stops and just gives thanks to God and enjoys time with their family. And by these stores opening up, they're destroying this beautiful thing. It's becoming about consumerism, materialism. We have to get things. We have to accumulate more property and things like that. And forget the family, forget friends, forget thanking God and thanking one another. It's all about me, getting more stuff at a good bargain. Even to the point that I had to punch you to get this radio on the shelf or this shirt or these pair of shoes. I had to punch you, I had to stab you for it. And it's just sad. It's unfortunate that this is allowed to go on. And I don't understand why psychologists are silent on this. They really need to go to Congress and pressure them to pass laws to prevent these things because people get out of control on this day, all for material things. It's like human life doesn't matter anymore, and it's scary. It's really scary how what happens on these days. So hopefully something is done because it's getting out of control. I mean, how many people need to get hurt or killed until something happens to control this Black Friday? The next thing is the famous Mexican comedian passed away, Roberto Gomez Bolaños, and he was known for his character El Chavo del Ocho and I forgot the other one, Chespirito, and he was a Mexican comedian, and he made this show that became very popular. It's still in syndication after many years, probably 40 years already, and a lot of people know about it, even in the American culture. As his name and his characters were trending number one globally. That's to show how famous this man was and how what an impact he left on the lives of many people with his comedy. And we already lost a comedic genius, Robin Williams, and now we lost another one in the Latino, Hispanic world culture. So it's sad because in today's world, with the comedy that we have today, it's all about sex, sexual innuendos, and whatnot, and the promotion of homosexuality and all these things, the mockery of God and other things. And this is what's used for comedy today. Whereas, back in the days, the comedy was much cleaner, decent, and it was enjoyable. It wasn't this nonsense, this perverted crap that we see today that's corny and really, I mean, it just makes you flip the channel. It's a waste of time. So may Roberto Gomez Bolaños rest in peace. Finally, the last thing I want to talk a bit about is uh, an atheist author, blogger, um, freelance author, Dan Arel or Arel. Uh, about last month, I believe, I noticed a tweet of him. I mean, I learned of him a couple years ago. I think it was last year or the year before when he was complaining after this atheist troll on Twitter was suspended. And of course, the hate came on me, and he was whining, sending me messages, and claiming that I had a campaign to suspend everybody and their mother and whatnot, and all this nonsense. Before this, I never heard of him, even during my atheism background. Never heard of this guy. He obviously is not out there like Richard Dawkins or Sam Harris or whatnot. So I figured he was just another one of the typical Twitter trolls there. I really didn't pay much attention to him until recently. Well, not recently, but last month, I believe. And I saw a tweet that he was inviting Kirk Cameron to a debate. And Kirk Cameron is that young actor from back in the day. I forgot the show that he worked in, but he converted to Christianity, but a fundamentalist um, part of Christianity, which denies evolution and has all these strange arguments and whatnot. So Arrow, he invites this or challenges this actor to a debate, and obviously the guy doesn't listen to him because usually these celebrities don't answer to anybody on the Twitter or whatnot. So I mean, I decided to send an invitation myself. Obviously, this actor's not gonna pay any mind to you, but at least I'm here. I wanted to do a debate with you and whatnot. So obviously, the word came out and went around the internet and all that. And, people got excited. They wanted to see this and whatnot. And I offered to do it on the blog, but he didn't want to, claiming that it's not a fair thing, even though I can't alter blog comments. But for some reason, these atheists are scared of using blogs. I don't know why. They think I'm going to edit things, and which is silly because if I wanted to do that, I mean, first of all, you can't do it because it will disrupt the whole um, blog comments. Because especially on Blogger, if you delete a comment, then it disrupts the whole discussion among the comments. And Blogger doesn't allow you to edit comments. So the only choice you have is to either prevent it from showing up on your blog or delete it completely. So if I'm having a debate with somebody and I say something and the person replies, or the person says writes something and I reply, and I delete a reply, it's gonna throw the whole thing off. All you're going to see is the reply, the response, but then something's missing. You don't know what was being replied to. So this whole idea that blogs is not a neutral place to debate when it's just ridiculous. It's a cop out. So he wanted to do it. I said, "Well, let's try Sacerdotus radio, even though it's only a half hour long, but still, who gets something there?" Again, he didn't want to. Apparently, he thinks I could control his voice as well. I mean, I didn't know I had that power. Somebody calls in the radio to debate with me, and I get into their mind. I make them talk what I want them to talk or speak. Anyhow, so he says he wants to do it on the Hangouts thing. So I said, okay, big deal. So we try to plan it out. I said, what do you want to do? Do you want to do it formal? Or do you want to do it whatnot? Discussion? He said, oh, let's do the discussion. I mean, that way it's easier for people to follow and whatnot. I said, okay. Then I specifically tell him, well, my schedule is not that great. I mean, I can't just get up and do stuff. Everything is programmed, everything's set in stone pretty much. And I can't just change it. I don't have the authority to change things. Most of the times I'm free early in the morning. As you could tell now, it's 4:30 in the morning Eastern time, which I have more free time to do things. And this is the time I usually update blogs, do editing, read or record shows for Sacerdotus Radio or go on Hangouts like I'm doing right now. So he was pretty much okay with it. He told me to give him some dates. So I said, okay, I'll get back to you. And I said, okay, why don't we have it this Saturday, which is now? And his response was he started cursing at me, insulting me and whatnot. And I was like, okay, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. Maybe he had too much wine for Thanksgiving or something. So he's there blabbering, and apparently he went on Twitter. He started whining there, and then all these atheist trolls started jumping and making all these ridiculous comments and whatnot. And he's arguing now that the time is not good and blah blah blah. And then, I mean, the guy's in California. 2 a.m. for me, 2:30 a.m. is 11 p.m., 11:30 for him in Pacific time. And you're telling me he's not good enough? I don't know if he thought that, I don't know if he misunderstood that I said 2 a.m. for him, but 2 a.m. is my time in the Eastern United States. I don't know if Dan is aware that the world has different time zones. So, I'm free around that time, and I was hoping it would work for him because usually at 11 o'clock at night, people are still awake mostly. Um, I don't think this is like back in the days where people went to sleep at 7 o'clock or not. People today often stay up late. And also that he has been on atheist hangouts with David Viano at around the same time, 10, 11 p.m. So, I mean, for him to go freely on that show, on that program, or whatever, at the same time, and then have problems with going on around the same time with me to do the debate, to have a big problem with that, is ludicrous. I really don't understand what's his problem. I mean, obviously, I know I garnered a big reputation on the internet and whatnot. People, atheists tend to be a little bit apprehensive towards me, but I mean, I'm not. I don't know what to say to that. If they think I'm going to be a jerk, or he thinks I'm going to be a jerk to him or whatnot, he's mistaken. I'm not. I mean, he wanted to do it in a discussion style or whatever. That's just basically what we're going to do. Um, and he did not complain about the timing before. Again, this was November 17th, but now he's having a hissy fit about it. And he feels the need to go on Twitter to make it public and whine to his little troll friends, and so they could get all wound up and start tweeting nonsense and whatnot. I mean, I really don't see that, the purpose of that. Does he need reassurance or something for his ego? I don't know, but I'm hoping it takes place. You know, and he gets the intestinal fortitude to follow through his word. I mean, it doesn't look good for somebody to say, "Okay, I'm going to do this," and then back out. I mean, especially you're a male. I mean, even though today people are confused with gender and all that, but still, I mean, I think the whole thing rings true that a man has to be a man, right, and keep his word. I mean, I try my best to accommodate him, but he has to understand that I have my own schedule and I can't really alter it. I can't do anything about that. So, the bottom line is that I'm opening to do it, and the one that's getting jeopardized is me because I'm losing sleep for it. It's 2:30 in the morning. Meanwhile, it's still Friday for him over there in California. So I'm the one that's losing sleep, not him. And I have no problem with that. I want to do it, and I don't know why he wants to. He seems to want to back down. Not saying that he is, but basically on the tone of his messages and whatnot, he seems to want to back down from the debate and whatnot, which is unfortunate because I mean he could profit from it. He was claiming in the email he sent me that I'm not an unknown blogger and whatnot, and yet he was the one messaging me last year regarding this atheist caricature account that got suspended. I mean, if I was so unknowable, then how the heck did he learn about me to message me? And the amount of tweeting that he posted regarding a list that I made with all these different troll accounts and all that. Obviously he knew of me and he saw me as a big threat to do that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And he's apparently an author of a book um, about. I didn't read it, but I read reviews about it, and it's pretty much how to raise kids without God and religion, which is ridiculous because we're all hardwired to be religious and to believe in God. So good luck with trying to raise kids in atheism. They'll eventually come back and find God down the line. So I don't know with Dan Arel or Arel. Hopefully he'll follow through and continue with the debate and stop whining so much at the time. I mean, the most important thing is that it gets done. I mean, if it was going to be something every day doing it, then yeah, I could understand why he will complain and bitch about it. But if he if it's just gonna be one day, you know, come on, it's no big deal. Just one day, 2 in the morning for me, 11 p.m. for you. Just one day. And I doubt we're gonna talk for hours. It's probably gonna be an hour, probably less. Even though I like to talk a lot, but still, I mean, we want to try to keep it short so people can follow through and all that. And I really don't understand, what's his problem. Hopefully, he will garner up some courage and whatnot to do it. I mean, I don't bite. I'm not gonna do anything. I mean, I might be aggressive in argumentation, yeah, but I mean, if he's so secure in his atheism, then he should have a problem engaging me. You know, if his intellectual confidence is there to engage me, there's no reason why he shouldn't follow through with the debate and continue with it, and hopefully do a good job at it. And again, it will help him because a lot of people know me as Sacerdotus, and my blogs are extremely popular. Everything that I anything that it's like the Midas touch, which recently a lot of blogs have been using my Sacerdotus in order to get blog hits. Um, so I mean, it will profit for him. I mean, especially if he said that he has a new book coming out. The fact that he engaged me is going to help him. People are going to know him as the one who had the nerve to engage me in a debate, and as opposed to the one that ran away from me in a debate. And I don't think he will garner a lot of respect for that. I mean, who's going to respect a so-called atheist activist, author, journalist, whatever, who's afraid to encounter somebody with a different opinion or the counter opinion? Going to respect that. I mean, nobody's going to take your words or your ideas seriously if you don't have the courage to defend them. I mean, I obviously have the courage to defend it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing these things. And I don't care who it is. I mean, you want to debate me? Go ahead. Just contact me. We set it up. But I mean, you gotta understand that I have my schedule. I have my things to do, and I can't just twist time to my own will. So then Arel, um, I'm waiting for you. I mean, let me know. I mean, spare me the nonsense, the ad hominems and the attacks and all that. Spare me that because I mean, just makes you look juvenile. Just talk to me man to man and stop whining to your little buddies over there, your little troll friends. I mean, grow up. Learn how to do things like an adult and confront me directly. Uh, have some self-respect. Present yourself as an intellectual and don't resort to nonsense and name calling and disparaging remarks because I mean that affects you, not me. And I'm secure in my education and secure in my belief. I mean, I have no need to go around and insult people and tell them that they're less than me and whatnot. So, anyhow, thank you for listening. God bless and Mary keep.